What if nothing in your life has ever been random? Not the people you've met, not the chances you took, not even the heartbreaks you endured. What if the very fabric of reality has been whispering to you all along, sending signs, symbols, and signals that you've been trained to ignore? This isn't speculation, it's revelation, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you feel it, the weight of randomness vanishes, and in its place, something deeper begins to rise: an intelligence, a design, a language not spoken in words, but in numbers that repeat, in dreams that bleed into daylight, in sudden moments of knowing that defy logic, yet feel more real than anything you've ever been taught. You've felt it, the chill when a thought becomes reality, the eerie timing of a call right after you think of someone, the near miss that saved your life. These are not accidents. They are messages from the field, a field of consciousness that surrounds you, pulses through you, and speaks through what most call coincidence. But there are no coincidences. There is only resonance. You were never a pawn of chance. You are, and have always been, an active participant in a co-creative dance with the universe itself. The illusion of separation was the first deception. The belief that you are isolated, detached, a mere observer drifting through a chaotic world, that was the first lie. Now, it's time to wake up. Because synchronicity is not rare. It's not mystical. It's not reserved for the spiritual elite or the mystics on mountaintops. It is the fundamental operating system of reality itself, a hidden code embedded in the fabric of existence, waiting to be read by those with eyes to see and hearts willing to feel. You are one of them, or you wouldn't be here. So let us begin this remembrance, not of something new, but of something ancient and essential, buried beneath generations of noise. A truth that will ripple through every cell of your being the moment you accept it. You were never separate, never alone, and nothing in your life has ever been meaningless. From the moment you took your first breath, life has been speaking to you. Every unexpected detour, every serendipitous meeting, every song that played at the perfect moment, every animal that crossed your path, every dream that haunted you with strange clarity. Each one was a note in the symphony of your becoming, but you were taught to dismiss them. You were taught to ignore the signs, taught that science could explain all, and what couldn't be measured didn't matter. That emotion was weakness, that intuition was unreliable, and that if you couldn't prove it, it couldn't be real. This was not accidental. Because when you stop believing in your connection to the whole, you become manageable, containable, controllable. You begin to follow the scripts handed to you instead of the guidance pulsing from within you. And that's the real tragedy. You were born with an inner compass, a divine intelligence that speaks not in linear thought, but in pattern, rhythm, and frequency. You know it. You felt it. The gut pull that told you to turn left instead of right. The voice that whispered wait when everything screamed go. The dream that warned you before the accident. The sudden urge to call someone right before they broke. These moments aren't anomalies. They are the interface between your consciousness and the greater intelligence of the universe, and they are happening all the time, but you have to be still enough to hear them, aware enough to see them, brave enough to act on them. This isn't superstition. This is physics. Consciousness is not confined to the skull. It extends, reaches, and tangles. Quantum experiments have proven what mystics have always known, that the act of observation collapses the wave into reality, that what you expect, you invite, what you fear, you feed, what you believe, you begin to manifest. You are not watching life, you're shaping it, moment by moment, breath by breath. Every emotion you feel broadcasts a frequency. Every thought you think sends ripples through the quantum field. Your attention is currency, your focus is force, and your emotional state is the tuning fork through which the universe harmonizes your experience. This is not metaphor. This is measurable. The electromagnetic field of the human heart extends several feet beyond the body. The frequencies it emits shift dramatically depending on your emotional state. Fear produces chaos. Gratitude creates harmony. Love rearranges the very particles of possibility. This is why synchronicities appear when you are in flow, when you're aligned, present, grateful. It's not magic, it's mechanics. A higher order of mechanics, yes, but mechanics nonetheless. You're tuning yourself to the frequency of clarity, of coherence, of truth, and the universe responds, because it always has. It just couldn't get through the static of your doubt, and the world is loud with doubt. Purposefully so. Every system that benefits from your disconnection profits from your disbelief. Media floods your senses with fear. Education trains you to regurgitate, not to listen inwardly. Science, in its current form, demands proof before permission. But the proof is in your life. How many times must the impossible happen before you stop calling it coincidence? How many dreams must come true before you realize you dream them into being? How many alignments must occur? How many signs, symbols, numbers, and nudges before you admit something bigger is speaking to you? You are not imagining it. You are remembering it. The ancient ones knew. They read the stars not just for navigation, but for meaning. They watched the flight of birds, the patterns of nature, the messages in the wind, the I Ching, the tarot, the oracle bones. They weren't guessing. They were listening. And that wisdom still lives in your blood. Synchronicity is the universe's way of communicating with itself through you, because you are not separate from it. You are it, the wave and the ocean, the observer and the observed, the signal and the receiver. This isn't about superstition. It's about surrendering to something more intelligent than intellect, something more ancient than language, something more powerful than control, intuition. It's your first language. Before you could speak, you could feel. Before you could reason, you could sense. Before you could act, you could know. That knowing hasn't left you. It's only been buried beneath conditioning. And now it's rising, because there's something about this moment in history. Something different, something opening, a collective awakening to the possibility that we've been living in a lie of limitation. A lie that says we are random, that we are alone, that our lives are accidents strung together by blind probability. But we are waking up from that trance. And in the waking, synchronicity is becoming undeniable. It's becoming visible, tangible, frequent. For those who are ready, it's becoming normal. And what a beautiful normal it is. Imagine living in a world where you trust your inner voice more than external noise, where you navigate not by fear, but by frequency, where each moment feels infused with meaning, where you no longer chase signs, but live as one. Because that's where this path leads, not to obsession with symbols, but to embodiment of truth. You begin to realize that synchronicity doesn't just guide you, it reflects you. Every outer event mirrors an inner state. Every random encounter is a precise match to your vibration. Every obstacle, a message. Every delay, a protection. Every breakthrough, a reflection of your alignment. And once you accept this, deeply, fully, you change everything. You stop reacting. You start creating. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? and start asking, what is this showing me? You stop fearing the unknown. You start dancing with it. And that's when miracles become mundane. Not because they lose their magic, but because you finally understand the magic was never separate from you. It was you, and it always will be. So the question becomes, how do you live this truth? Not once in a while, not in moments of spiritual clarity, but every single day. How do you train your awareness to recognize the signals? How do you fine-tune your internal frequency to receive clearer guidance? How do you cultivate a relationship with the unseen so deep, so consistent, that it becomes your default way of being? It starts with stillness, because the language of the universe isn't loud. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It whispers through feelings, impressions, symbols, and resonance. And to hear the whisper, you must quiet the noise. You must become willing to pause and listen, to observe without immediate interpretation, to trust your inner senses even when the mind screams for logic, to let the moment unfold instead of rushing to control it. Stillness opens the portal, and presence holds it open. When you're fully present, synchronicity floods in, because presence aligns you with the now, and the now is where all possibilities converge. The future is an echo, the past a shadow, but the present, that's the access point to infinite guidance. This is why you often receive signs during walks in nature, why solutions appear when you finally stop thinking about the problem, why clarity arrives in the shower, in meditation, in dreams, because your mind has loosened its grip, your frequency has softened. You've momentarily slipped into resonance, and in resonance, everything becomes possible. But stillness and presence are just the beginning. The next step is attention, sacred attention. What you notice expands. What you ignore dissolves. When you begin to pay attention, not just to what happens, but when and how it happens, you begin to see the hidden threads connecting everything. You notice the repeating numbers on receipts, clocks, and license plates. You hear the same phrase from 3 different people in the same day. You sense a shift in energy when you speak certain truths. You realize that nothing is truly random and everything is communicating. That song on the radio, the ad that appeared out of nowhere, the stranger who smiled just when you needed it, not coincidence, confirmation. And the more you notice, the more it happens, because the universe responds to recognition. It accelerates the moment you acknowledge the pattern. But don't just notice, record, write it down. Keep a synchronicity journal. Not because you need proof, but because your awareness deepens through reflection. When you document the details, your subconscious begins to piece together your personal symbolic language. Your life becomes a dialogue instead of a monologue. Over time, you'll see patterns emerge. Certain numbers will carry meaning for you. Specific animals, colors, or sensations will develop into messages. You'll learn your unique signals, how your intuition speaks, how your guides nudge, how your energy influences your experience. This is not about assigning arbitrary meanings. It's about discovering resonance. For one person, a butterfly might signal transformation. For another, it's a sign of a past loved one. For you, it might be a reminder to surrender. The meaning is personal, sacred, evolving, and the more you trust it, the clearer it becomes. But beware, there's a trap here. The mind loves to hijack this process. It wants to categorize, systematize, and turn everything into a formula. It wants to predict rather than perceive. It tries to analyze every sign, assign rigid meanings, and create certainty. But the truth is, synchronicity lives in mystery. It's less about decoding and more about feeling. Real synchronicity carries a frequency, a texture, a resonance that bypasses the mind and hits the heart with clarity. It doesn't scream, "Analyze me." It whispers, "Trust me." You know it when you feel it. It's that unmistakable click, that sense of inner stillness amidst outer movement, that sacred echo of "this means something," even when you can't explain it. Honor that feeling, because that's your compass. And as you follow it, your life begins to shift, subtly at first, then radically. Decisions become clearer. Opportunities appear with uncanny timing. Relationships become mirrors of your inner work. Challenges feel purposeful, not punishing. And reality begins to dance with you instead of against you. You move from forcing to flowing, from chasing to attracting, from surviving to co-creating. And the deeper you go, the more the veils fall. You begin to see the deeper mechanics. You realize that emotions aren't just inner weather. They're signals that tune your energetic field. You discover that gratitude isn't just nice. It's a frequency that magnetizes miracles. You learn that fear blocks, love unlocks, that when you feel stuck, it's not because life is holding out on you. It's because you're broadcasting a signal that doesn't match your desire. This is not judgment, it's feedback. The universe is neutral. It responds not to your words, but to your state, not to your affirmations, but to your frequency. And this is your power. Because while you can't always control external events, you can absolutely influence your internal state. And your internal state shapes external events. This is what the ancients knew, what shamans practiced, what mystics taught in secret. That reality is responsive, malleable, intelligent, that it mirrors your consciousness in real time. So the question becomes, what are you broadcasting? What do your thoughts, emotions, and intentions tell the field? What story are you living? Not with your mouth, but with your nervous system. Because the field is listening. Not to what you say, but to what you are. And when what you are aligns with what you desire, synchronicity explodes. The floodgates open. Reality becomes responsive. Supple, miraculous, but not because you manipulated it, because you matched it. And this is the threshold, the turning point, the moment when everything changes, not because the world around you suddenly becomes different, but because you do. Your perception sharpens. Your inner landscape shifts. You no longer move through life as a seeker lost in the fog. You begin to walk as a co-creator, aware, intentional, awake. And with that awakening comes responsibility. Not the heavy, guilt-ridden kind, but the liberating, soul-deep kind. The understanding that your reality is not something being done to you, but something being created through you. That every encounter is a reflection. Every challenge, a lesson. Every sign, a message. And every day, another invitation to live in alignment. This is not fantasy. This is mastery. You begin to sense the layers of reality like textures in the air. You notice when you are out of tune, and instead of blaming the world, you recalibrate within. You feel when something is off. Not because someone told you, but because your field tells you. And most of all, you begin to trust, not blindly, but deeply, because your trust is no longer based on dogma or belief systems. It's rooted in direct experience. You've seen the synchronicities, you've felt the guidance, you've lived the flow, and now you can't go back. Because once you taste alignment, anything less feels hollow. Once you hear the voice of the universe, silence feels deafening. Once you realize you were born with a map, you stop wandering and start navigating. And what a map it is, woven in symbols, lit by intuition, drawn in dreams and echoes of dreams. It doesn't show you every step. That's not its purpose. It shows you the next step, the aligned step, the true step. And that's all you ever need. Because truth has a rhythm. And when you're in it, life becomes a dance, You move, it moves, you pause, it waits, you leap, and it catches you. But not always the way you expect. Sometimes the synchronicity is a door. Other times, it's a wall. Sometimes it's a redirection. Other times, a reminder. And occasionally, it's silence. A sacred space where you are asked to trust without visible signs. Even that is part of the guidance. Because the absence of signs can be a sign. To rest, to release, to recalibrate. You see, synchronicity isn't about always getting what you want. It's about always being guided to what your soul needs. And sometimes that means letting go of the plan. Sometimes that means surrendering to something bigger. Because synchronicity flows most freely where control has been released. Where the need to know is replaced by the willingness to trust. Where the need to push gives way to the permission to receive. And in that surrender, something incredible happens. Life begins to support you, not occasionally but consistently, not randomly but precisely, not hypothetically but experientially. You stop chasing alignment and start living it. And this, my friend, is the new paradigm, where the old rules dissolve, where fear-based striving is replaced by soul-based timing, where goals are less about achievement and more about alignment, where action flows not from urgency, but from inner clarity, where you no longer look for signs of safety because you are the sign. And when you live this way, you become magnetic to truth, to beauty, to connection. People feel it. They don't know why, but they're drawn to you. Opportunities unfold without force. Doors open without knocking. The universe meets you halfway, and then some, not because you mastered a technique, but because you remembered who you are. You see now. You were never meant to survive this world by logic alone. You were born to co-create with wonder, to navigate with your heart, to make decisions not from fear, but from frequency. You were born to see beyond the surface, to feel beneath the noise, to follow a current so ancient and wise that it leads you exactly where you need to be, without maps, without certainty, and without fear. That current is always there, always flowing, always waiting for your yes. So here it is, the moment of choice. You can return to the illusion. Pretend it's all random. Live like life is something happening to you. You'll fit in. You'll be safe. You'll stay small. Or you can live as if everything means something. Because it does. You can walk as if the universe is whispering to you. Because it is. You can act as if your life is a mirror of your consciousness. Because it always has been. And you can breathe as if you're part of something vast, divine, and intelligent beyond comprehension. Because you are. So choose. Choose to awaken. Choose to align. Choose to live in the frequency of truth, trust, and transformation. You don't need to know the whole path. Just take the next step, the aligned step, the one that resonates, and watch what unfolds. Because synchronicity is not the reward for the awakened. It is the language of awakening, and it is speaking to you now. Listen, feel, follow, and never forget. You're not here to survive randomness. You're here to dance with meaning, and the music has already begun.